Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest pre-match show. My name is Christopher Sword, and today I am joined by Jack Berry. Jack, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
It's great to have you on. This is your first appearance of a Viperio All Access stream. Before we get into the match at hand tonight, would you like to give yourself a bit of a brief introduction, just saying who you are and what you do?
So, as you said, I'm Jack, known as Berry in the league world. Currently mid laner for Viperio, the substitute mid laner that is. Uh, I played for Vector last splits in the UKEL and played in a bunch of Newell and NSE league tournaments for university. If anyone's played in those, you'll know what I mean. Yeah, here I am.
Oh, that's great to hear, Jack. And as the viewers are aware, you're here to be my brains and knowledge for this
I'll
stream.
do my best. I'll do my best.
So hopefully you can give some insight towards the past matchups that we've had and our series tomorrow against Munster.
Yes.
So I think the best place to start with this stream is to take a quick look at the last week, with us being 2 game days into the season. So Connor,
Yes.
if you could pull up that view. So in our first game of the season, Viperio fell to London United, and in our second game, we fell to Lucendi. So Jack, do you maybe want to give a bit of insight on why you think that might be? Is there any common trends between both games?
For the London game, I think our biggest issue was probably the draft. I know there's been some slight disagreement between me and uh, Dan, the coach, when we were discussing this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I personally think it was draft which made this difficult. I think the way we played was pretty well. I don't think individual skill is at all the issue. In fact, I think one of our roster is pretty high up when it comes to on paper sort of solo queue rank. It was just yeah, our draft in the London game was we had no front line essentially. We had an Ori, Lucian, Seraphine, Lilia, Gangplank. All pretty much range damage with no real front line, and we were up against Alistair, Malphite, very beefy front line.
Hmm.
And so this it made walking into objectives incredibly difficult. It's like and an Anivia mid, so if they ever got to an objective first, like Drake, they throw the Anivia ult down, the wall down. Alistair and Malphite just stand there looking with their threatening aura, and no one really wants to walk in because I mean they get ulted, they get one shot, and we can't, and we don't really have any poke to deal with them either because I mean Gangplank barrels are incredibly telegraphed, very difficult to hit. Oriana pokes way too short range. Seraphine does no damage. It was just the Lilia W's, I think. I don't know what the name of the spell, but they're
Hmm.
very difficult to land. So yeah, they essentially won off of getting objectives because they end up with Ocean Soul, which really makes it impossible to play.
Hmm.
And
And I mean,
yeah,
on that draft thing, obviously from what you've said, is it didn't put Viperio in the best position for that matchup. London
no,
being 2-0 now in the league, do you feel that London have played well so far from their side?
yeah, I think London have played pretty well. I mean, it's kind of to be expected. They've retained the exact same roster from last split, so
Hmm.
they've had an abundance of time to get to know each other and like know each other's play styles. And yeah, I think yeah they're doing about as well as I expect, to be honest.
Yeah. And just moving on to the second game that week, on the Saturday we
Mhm.
played Lucendi Gaming. If you could maybe just talk a little bit about that matchup.
Uh, I think our draft in this game was slightly better. Uh, I think that our Cassidin pick was quite tricky to pull off. So they had a Camille, a Galio, and a Maokai, right? And all of these champs have very easy to hit CC. Camille's ult, Galio's W, Maokai W, all really reliable CC, and it's really hard for Cassidy to get because Cassidy essentially needs to be like melee range to be doing any real damage, and that's where all these CC abilities are going to come in. And
Hmm.
we opted for the Pantheon, who's a really strong pick at the minute. I think he's like pick or ban in LEC at the minute. And we sent that top lane into the Camille, which I think in draft was intended to be like where we win the game. We were supposed to be stomping the top side, but we ended up actually going even in top, and yeah, I think that's where we sort of fell apart. Our win condition was to really stomp top, but we kind of
Yeah.
just went even, and yeah, and build as well. We ended up going an Eclipse build on Pantheon, which is quite bursty into a very tanky team, where I think we
Mhm.
should have been going God Drinker. But yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I mean, coming off those two losses now, the Viperio lineup is currently 0-2 within the regular season. We are joint bottom with Hive and Munster Rugby Gaming, which brings us nicely on to our fixture tomorrow night, which does see Viperio take on Munster Rugby Gaming tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Hmm.
If we maybe want to just start by giving a quick rundown of the rosters, we'll briefly touch on the Viperio roster first. You just want to maybe talk about the players that are playing in that match?
For Viperia,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I like I mentioned before, I think our roster is really high up in terms of like solo queue rank when it comes to a UKEL standard.
Hmm.
In four, I think currently like, or at least the last time I checked, like yesterday or something, like ATLP Master, which this early on in the season is really good. Johnny's also Master at the minute. I'm pretty sure Hassa is also Master.
Yeah.
And then Kaz and Killikin are both sitting like I think high diamond at the minute, which again early season's pretty good. And I'm pretty sure last season they were all master tier players. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure Johnny might have even been Grandmaster. I can't remember.
I think everyone finished it around that master tier. I don't
Yeah,
think Johnny
which
reached grandmaster, but
okay,
yeah, they
but
were all around that level. And I mean, in four, just on him, he's been. This is his competitive debut. This is his first season
yes,
competing in a
yes,
league, so he's definitely been a player sort of off people's radar. And I mean, for
exactly,
someone,
yeah,
I think he peaked at Master 314. Just no one could come across him because he'd not been active. When we
yeah.
look at these five players, is there a player that sort of stands out as someone to watch in this upcoming series? Someone that really needs to step up and in order to help the team?
I'm looking to probably Johnny the most because as far as I'm aware, I don't know massively about his history, but as far as I'm aware, he's somewhat new to league. Like he has only started playing in the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah. So
If
like
you,
on Johnny, for those that don't know, Johnny was a professional StarCraft 2 player back in the early
uh,
2010s. He played for Team Dignitas among other organizations. So, and he only moved to League of Legends around sort of mid 2019. So as you've said, Jack, he's had a short period within this game. But obviously there are transferable skills. Obviously being able to compete at those high levels in StarCraft 2, you've got that experience for playing in high pressure matches. But as you say, within League of Legends, he's still relatively untested with only a couple seasons competing. Uh,
yeah, I mean, I
so,
was gonna turn that. Sorry, I was gonna turn
yeah,
that into
yeah,
a positive thing, not a like always to watch out for. Because I mean, if you can come to a new game and get to this level in 2.5 years or so, I think he's
yeah.
has a lot of potential. I think he can really take the team far.
And I
Yeah.
think you're right. Like Johnny is one of the names on the roster, especially being on the team in the previous season, that people
Hmm.
are looking to in order to say this is someone that has the ability to deliver, and they need to if Iperia want to be successful in this league. So if we move over to the Munster Rugby Gaming lineup, could you potentially give us some insight on some of these players?
So for top, they have Sign Up Sprinter. I actually played with Sign Ups for Vector last split, where he played support.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, before that split, the split before that, he played top lane. So he went from top lane to support, and now he's back to top lane. So I mean, I think having a whole split dedicated to a different role could definitely like take a toll on your
Okay.
ability. I mean, if he'd had that whole split playing top lane, especially in competitive, I think by now he could have been probably at a higher level. But I think that's definitely sort of made things difficult for him having to switch back from support. But he's
Mhm.
definitely got the experience to back it up. Um, moving on to Goose in the jungle. Pretty sure Goose is new to competitive. I think this is his debut along with Davidoff and the support. I think I've only seen Goose play in. I've seen him myself playing some trials actually along with me for Nerd Rage.
Okay.
I think he played pretty well in the trials, and looking at his OPGG, he seems to play very meta stuff. So it seems his champ pool is big enough to not really get target banned. Davidoff for mid again. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's new to competitive.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, as some of you may know, he is uh, an Annie connoisseur. Let's say has an incredibly large amount of Annie games last season, which you would tend to think is probably a worrying thing, but honestly, from as a mid player, I've heard Annie's quite a niche counterpick to some meta champs at the minute. Yon and Lucian, to name two off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure Annie is a very niche counterpick to them, and if he's got this many games on Annie, then that is definitely something to watch out for if we ever choose these champs.
Okay.
Um, Keverman is probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest player on the team. I think on paper has the highest solo queue rank this season so far and last season. I think he does have experience. I think he's played in some Irish leagues. Not sure the name of them, but
Mhm.
again, I've seen him play in trials. He's an impressive player. He's good. Yeah, he's going to be the one to take the reins if anyone is, I think.
Okay.
And finally, moving on to Mask of Jelly. This is a mystery player I've not really got any information on. I have heard his name from somewhere. Not sure if it's UK in-houses or not, but yeah, I really don't know don't know what to think about this player because I haven't seen any games from him. But yeah, I think
Mhm.
this is his debut.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
on this lineup, you've said that for a lot of the players that this is their debut season. Do you think that's part
Yes.
of the reason why they're 0-2 right now?
Um. Yeah, I would say definitely. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean they've had quite a while to play together and get used to each other because this roster was originally for Nerd Rage, and then
Mhm.
they left, I think, and so they've been around a while, and I'm pretty sure Nerd Rage was one of the first orgs to get a team together in the whole UKL,
Yeah.
apart from the ones that had retained them from last split. So I don't know. I think they've definitely had enough practice with each other. I think you're right. I think it probably is the lack of competitive experience and maybe just the lower solo queue ranks on paper rank. I'm not sure.
Mhm. Well, I mean, like touching on the team, this is obviously Munster Rugby Gaming who have returned with new management to compete within the
Yes.
UK scene. Obviously, Munster being a professional rugby club. Do you think having that management structure from someone from a traditional sports background could potentially be helpful or beneficial to these players?
Yeah, I mean, if they're already like a well-established like organization for a sport club, you'd imagine that well, first of all, you'd imagine they have quite a lot of funding behind them to
Hmm.
throw at like I don't know potential coaches or like high quality managers. I don't know,
Yeah.
and yeah, like surely if they've had they've already got a whole bunch of experience like running and organizing an actual sports team. You would like to imagine there's a lot of transferable skills when it
Hmm.
comes to sort of e-sport players rather than actual sport players. Yeah,
Yeah.
that should definitely help them for
But I
sure.
mean, yeah, yeah, kind of just adding on to your point, I feel if they have these resources and definitely use them, they've definitely got an advantage, sort of a sleight of hand on the other teams that have sort of these much lower budgets in comparison. I
Mm,
guess we'll just have to see whether or not those resources are put to good use.
we will.
Um,
We
I
will.
mean, I guess sort of a question now is, do you think Viperio have the skill and team cohesion to get a win tomorrow? And if so, what do they need to do in order to get their first win on the board?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. They definitely have what it takes to do well. I mean, I know it's not the most reliable of sources, but if I'm sure anyone watching has probably seen a few tier lists that have been made. But if you throw your memory back, I'm pretty sure a lot of the Viperio players were put pretty high. I think Johnny and Killican, for example, are always thought of to be quite good players. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've said must have said 3 times already, but I'm pretty sure that all players were master. Like yeah, you said they were all master, and they've all got competitive experience as far as I'm aware. So
Hmm.
definitely have what it takes. I think thing we need to change is potentially drafting for more like traditional comps, which are just much easier to pull off, and just
Yeah.
sort of enable them to show their individual skill as players rather
Because
than
I mean, we put out an article. We spoke to Alan Reed, as you know, the team manager of Viperio League of Legends. In his view, is that especially from a drafting perspective, they were trying these very brash, overcomplicated
yeah,
draft strategies, which when they're not executed can restrict the team. So going into this series, at least from his perspective, that's one of the things that the team have had to work on over the few days that they've had, just sort of simplifying that down, focus on uh, more structured, tested draft picks in order to really show off the ability of our players.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, unless there's any closing remarks, Jack, I think we've been through everything. Is there anything you think you could just say to wrap up the stream?
Um, watch out, watch out for when we really improve these drafts, because I think these players really do have what it takes to come first, second, third, top of the
Hmm.
table for sure.
No,
Yeah.
well, thank you for saying that, Jack. And for those that are watching, remember tomorrow night at 6 p.m., the opening game of week two, Viperio will be taking on Munster Rugby Gaming, and you can watch that on twitch.tv/the UKEL. And I hope to see you all in the Twitch chat rooting on the squad. But until then, thank you for watching and tuning into our pre-game stream, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. And also, thanks, Jack, for coming on, and thank you, Connor,
Problem.
for doing the production behind the scenes. So until next time, we'll catch you all later and enjoy your evening.
See you later.